Hello and welcome to True Guidance Tarot. I'm Adriana Teodoro-Dier. I'm a spiritual medium and intuitive reader. I have a message for Libra today. And to let you know how this works, I have asked my guides and spirit to bring a message through the cards that will be deeply meaningful and also positive for you as you navigate what's going on in your week. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. So glad that you're here. And I really strongly urge you to subscribe to this channel so you can benefit from the high vibration information every week. And if you're returning, know that you're really appreciated and I value your support so very much. Let's get straight into your reading, Libra, because this is really an interesting one. We have the Eight of Wands for the universe presented energy. The universe is presenting you with some energy this week. You know, it's interesting. I'm going to stop for a second. There's a lot of shadows going on with the light right now. It's like the sun just shifted. So you see there's this play between shadow and light, between darkness and light. I'm going to get to that later, but I just wanted to plant that seed, which is exactly what's going on with this Eight of Wands card here. We're planting seeds, but it's like the universe is offering you some opportunities for growth, something that's kind of like far out there, that's maybe way in the future. And I feel like there's an intellectual component with this card that I haven't really felt before, but it's talking about like there may be some ideas that are presented to you or that they're there for you to consider that are going to expand and open up your world. Now, you're pretty content with the way your world is right now. We have the World card for how you respond to it, and you notice they're opposing. She's going this way and this one's going that way. So the universe is trying to shift you out of your world a little bit, and you're kind of like, no, I'm good. My world's good the way it is. And I know this happened last week in a similar reading. There was a similar placement of the world. But you know, here as well, because they're back to back, what is being presented to you doesn't necessarily harmonize or jive with the way your world is now. And so part of you doesn't really either know how to handle it or really kind of know how to take it in. So I don't feel that the World card is completely shutting the door. It's almost also that you're unaware of it. So the universe is putting these little things like, hey, this might be a direction you could go, or hey, let's consider this, or hey, let's look at this as a possibility. And you're maybe just kind of oblivious because maybe you feel like everything is fine and whole and complete the way it is. So let's keep going. We've got the King of Pentacles, the Devil, and then we've got Temperance facing the Devil down. Now, I was talking about the shadows and I can see them on the wall. This is the shadows, that devil figure, the shadows, and whatever that means to you, the ego self, the masks that we wear, and there's even a mask on here. And there's something I've seen it before, but it was really jumping out. It's tiny. Can you see there's a little lock down there? So it's almost like the devil keeps a little part of us locked away. The ego is that limitation of who we think we are, when really we're so much bigger and larger and capable of so much more than what our ego thinks we are. So it's kind of like you're keeping yourself locked down or locked in or locked, padlocked. And in this card, the padlock is leading to chains that are on her wrist. But the funny thing is, even though she's chained in there, her prison, and I say that word sarcastically, it's open on both sides, so she can leave anytime she wants. And that chain doesn't look very thick. I'm sure she could just rip it out of the wall. But there's a part of you, a part of us that stays locked down, that stays hidden and just not doing anything. When something's locked or blocked, it's just like, ugh. Now, we look on the other side. I'm kind of going out of order here, so I'll tie it all together. But the King of Pentacles, I feel, represents you. And I was really drawn to all of this movement, all this green movement and growth happening around him. So it's kind of like you are someone who seeks growth. Your soul wants to help you grow in a certain way. But what gets in the way of that growth is this devil, that shadow, that part that likes to stay locked down or locked in and not expansive. It's not the true self. This is the true self, you know, you on the earth. But I think also they're mentioning right now, Pentacles is a very earthbound card, an earthbound sign. It's the 5 Pentacles is a 5-pointed star. To me, it represents the 5 senses, the here and now. And just like the world, because that green is all kind of there, right? So the here and now of what's possible. Sometimes Earth can be limited by thinking that reality consists of only what's in front of them. So we tend to lock down and we say, well, this is what's possible, therefore none of that works. Or this is what it is, so I don't have these other options. And that kind of thinking really brings out that devil. The devil sabotages any attempt at growth because the devil wants to keep things in control. It wants to keep things small, and it wants to keep things, we think it's safe. You know, even though she's upset at being locked in there, where my finger is here, she doesn't like being in there. It's actually a safe place. And sometimes when we're so comfortable in identifying with what our limitations are, then it actually becomes very safe. Now, sometimes when you're on this journey, there's a tendency to want to label yourself as I am this or I am that. And we all fall into that because, you know, society likes to know who we are and we like to know who we are. But even that is limiting. I was teaching a piano lesson earlier today, and the student said to me, oh, I'm bad at this. I'm bad at counting. And it's not true. That she was stumbling through it, maybe because she didn't understand it, but she said to herself, I am bad at counting. So she identified herself as being tied to tied to an action, but she made it be part of her ego, like, I identify as someone who is bad at counting. They're kind of drawing it out, but I hope that makes sense to you. The thing is it wasn't true, because once it was explained to her and I walked her through this is how it works, she could do it easily. So her statement, I'm bad at counting, wasn't even true, but it's something that devil tends to throw, saying, this is who I am, therefore I cannot change, therefore I cannot grow. And it shuts the door on growth. I see it with my kid students all the time, kid piano students all the time. They identify themselves with a skill, like I am good at this, I am bad at this, I am not this. And it becomes true. It becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy. And the devil is coming up to say, to show you that, wait a second, that's something that your mind is creating. Just like that student wasn't empirically bad at counting. She just thought she was, therefore she didn't even want to try to learn. She didn't even want to try to fix it. So when who you are is limited by a certain framework or a certain shape, or a certain definition, there's really no opportunity for growth. And we're finally coming to temperance. Temperance is trying to get us to blend, to get us to flow. And it's actually that blend of the soul and the ego. You see, I've got light and shadow on my face. Shadow being the ego, light being the soul. That's what we're trying to be. That's where we're trying to go. Because you can't completely kill the ego, otherwise we wouldn't be here in a body and a personality. But we can release the limitations that hold us into a certain shape or form, that keep us from that growth that we feel our soul wanting us to do. So the ego needs to follow the soul rather than lock the soul down, right? Keep the soul locked away. Note this is very esoteric, so let me see if there's anything more specific they want to do about this. You'll know when you're in that flow with your soul, when it's just that, when things flow, when you don't get hung up in interpersonal relations with people, when you don't feel discouraged, when you don't feel those things, when you're truly in harmony with your soul, everything just flows, and you'll actually feel an increase of power. You're going to feel more powerful. I'm drawn to these great balls of fire, these balls of power right through here. And she's sitting there so content and so happy. She's got those two opposing forces, fire and water, the soul and the ego. So I think of fire as the will and water as the soul that wants to flow. She's holding them together and they're balanced. And that's what we're looking for. Because this growth opportunity is big and it's in the future. So many of the readings today have been future focused. So we're looking beyond just this week. So there's opportunities for growth. The problem is that limitation of the shadow self, which wants to define, and it wants to qualify, and it wants to, yeah, just put labels and things that we can control. I can control a label. I can control a definition. I can't control an expansion because I don't know where it's going to go. But that's exactly the spirit that's needed to really bring these opportunities into fruition and into focus for you. You'll start to really understand how they're more deeply connected to your soul than you realize. So, okay, they're giving me my wrap it up signal. So I will always be happy to answer any questions you have about the reading, or if you want to comment, that's always very welcome. And just to let you know, I do offer one-on-one readings over Zoom through trueguidancetarot.com. And I'm thinking of also offering some relationship readings because the holidays are coming up and this is always a challenging time to really bring out the best in ourselves and the best in others. So if you would like to investigate that some more, either email me from my website or from the description below, or check out my website, trueguidancetarot.com. I look forward to seeing you next week and have a happy Thanksgiving.